All right. We're live. We're open for business. This is question and answer time with me, Coach Tyler of Project Pure Athlete. This is live session number 2, and first one went swimmingly. I'm saying swimmingly only because my son is outside swimming right now. Floor's open. You can ask your questions. For those that aren't aware, I'm Coach Tyler. I'm the owner of Project Pure Athlete, and I am a professional jump coach as well as a strength and conditioning coach that runs this show that kind of takes care of business first. Yes, you are, Freddie. You are first in the house with the comments, but bring in those questions. We'll dive into jumping. We'll dive into training. We can dive into anything that surrounds the athletic, mindset, nutrition, whatever you'd like. Or if you just want to know more about me, you go ahead and ask those questions. I'd be more than happy and comfortable to dive into whatever you'd like. I just got back from a workout of the track. What I'm doing right now that's pretty cool is over the next 30 days, I'm about 5 days in, I am doing a piece of YouTube content. How fast can I get in 30 days? Now, I am a former high-level track and field athlete, but I've been retired for 14 years now. So I dusted off the track spikes. I've been back on the track. I've been working out a little bit different, kind of dialing in my training, and I'm going to see how fast I can take my 60-meter dash from day 1 to day 30. Now I'm 5 days in. Training's feeling great. I was in the sun today, so I'm like pretty wiped out, but that's part of the grind. That's part of that hustle. You got to put in the work, and sometimes the sun is just something you have to deal with. First question from Haxason. Is it safe to jump with back pain? Now, it really depends on what type of back pain you have. If you can clarify what type of back pain you have, we can dive a little bit more into that. What's my favorite in-home plyometric exercise? There are so many plyometric exercises that are beneficial for a variety of different aspects of the vertical jump. Okay, that's one thing to remember, is that exercises are tools, and we have multiple tools in the belt that do a lot of the same things, which is elicit what we call a stimulus from the body. But if I had to pick my personal favorite plyometric for in-home, I like just continuous poke with striking down of the hands. I think that's one of the most slept on elements of jumping, is the importance of synchronizing the arm swing with the contact, specifically of the last contact, or a block foot. So I like a pogo hop. How low should I get when I jump? So Jaden, that's going to depend largely on the type of jumper you are. So through your penultimate stride is when your center of mass falls, meaning that the mass majority of where your weight is lowers during that stride. Now, how much that lowers is really dependent upon what your jump type is. So for me, being a very elastic jumper, meaning that I get off the ground very quickly, that's how my body thrives, I lower not very much at all through that penultimate stride. Now, Coach Chase, the other half of Project Pure Athlete, more of a power jumper, requires a little bit more ground contact time, or more time on the ground to produce force. So he's going to lower a little bit more. It's really about playing with the jump a little bit, the last couple steps, and finding out that pocket of comfort for you to be able to produce the most force you can as a specific athlete. How much GPP do I do with my athletes? GPP is extremely important for different times of the training cycle. So if I'm getting new athletes in, really doesn't matter where they are in their training, we're going to go through some element of GPP. Now, GPP, for those that don't understand, is general physical preparation, things that task, moving well, your general cardiovascular system, things that are generally a little bit more like overviewing to the whole athlete. So yeah, absolutely. We don't dive into specificity right away. Realistically, it's about creating that strong, resilient athlete, no matter what your goal is. And then we dive into and taper into elements of specificity as we go. My top 3 jump exercises, and what was my standing vert and running vert, and why was my standing vert and running vert so different? I'm not sure whether you mean whether mine was or why yours is, but a top 3 vertical jump exercise. We have so many different exercises that we program for our athletes. It's very difficult to pick the top 3 because it really depends on the athlete. I think if you're looking for movements or exercises that give you the most bang for your buck. You're going to get into things like a trap bar deadlift. It's very all encompassing. It moves you through a pattern that's very conducive to jumping. Something like a Bulgarian split squat with that back foot elevated brings in elements of cross body or contralateral stabilization, which is very important for jumpers to be able to be stable through rotation and also through kind of that frontal plane as well. So, there's a lot of exercises that do wonderful things, but out of the gate, those are two that I can think of. And jumping obviously is one that really helps with patterning the body to be more efficient, to be able to produce more power. Will resistance band training improve your vertical jump fast, or will weight training increase it faster? So 10-second cars, I can tell your life and you in general are about being fast, right? You want to do and you want the most bang for your buck. Now, this answer is not something that is the most popular amongst athletes, okay? And I'm coming to you as one of the global leaders in this space, meaning that I've been doing this for 16 years. I've traveled the world and worked with athletes of all levels, all the way from brand new, all the way into the NBA to Team Canada, Team USA, and the volleyball and basketball scene. So I've worked with a lot of athletes. And the one thing that great athletes have in common is they don't rush the process. Now, it is fun to be able to see results quickly. That's just the bottom. That's just how human beings are. We like to see things quick. But between the two of them, I wouldn't be searching for which one gives you faster results. I would be putting in the work with what you have available. If you have weights available, progressive resistance training is always going to be your best friend, just building yourself as an athlete. So that's my answer on that. I wouldn't be looking for the fastest way. I'd be looking to commit yourself to the process of being a better athlete. And as a result, you will be better. If you look to rush through things or do things that get you there fast, they're likely not checking enough of the boxes that keep you strong and resilient for a long period of time. How do I improve my force production for my third last step? So leading into the penultimate, I imagine you're talking about, that's going to be just patterning the approach. Things like, accelerations and sprints will be good for that drive phase through the approach as you progressively get quicker from start to finish. That's where I would start. William wants to know what my education is. So my education now, I've been out of university for a handful of years now, but I have a master's degree in human kinetics. I also have a bachelor in education, meaning I'm a certified teacher as well. But I really have, 15, 16 years plus of experience in this field, where I've learned much more in my time outside of the confines of the university machine, and put that to work over many, many years. So, but yeah, I don't even have my degrees. They're in the house, but I merged everything out of my home office into the garage, and I've converted my garage gym into my garage gym office studio / my space. This is my space. We don't have a crazy big house, and my wife, she has the house and I have the garage. So that's what's up. What do you suggest after I finish Project Vertical Elite? Fran, after you finish Project Vertical Elite, I would have a week or so where you kind of work through a little bit of general, rest recovery, where you're going through things like maybe some yoga, just very low volume, just to kind of give the nervous system a chance to recharge. But you can cycle back through Project Vertical Elite again. You can just progress your loading. If you want to dive into something different, we have a training application that will be released very shortly. I can't give you an exact date. I think it's just inappropriate to give exact dates, especially if you don't know. But we will have a training application that's on a monthly basis that you get programs built in. You get access to us. You get to track your workouts. 1,000+ video library. We're super stoked to be able to release that. So stay on the lookout. I will announce it through the YouTube. I'll announce it through our Instagram. If you don't follow us on Instagram, we have a much larger Instagram than YouTube. I'm kind of new to the YouTube game, but at Project Pure Athlete, jump on. We have daily content. We have thousands and thousands of videos on there that are great for learning from. I have a lot of professional coaches from around the world that frequent our channel to learn, as well as a lot of athletes from all over the place. How can I deal with patellofemoral pain? when you're dealing really with any type of, tendon related issues, that those attachment sites is frustrating, and I get it. I just put up a video recently about how to manage jumper's knee and patellofemoral pain. A lot of the principles apply to that as well. So I'd start with that video. I'd also make sure that you get it assessed by a professional, physio, chiro, something along those lines, something local when you can, if you have access to it. I don't know what your parameters are for COVID right now, but definitely something that is easier to work through with somebody that is specifically specializing in those areas. But we'll put that on our board as part of content to be able to release in the future, and I'll keep it in mind. But good luck with it. It's just going to be managing things like make sure your proper warm up, you're strengthening, stretching, and then also managing the volume, not a ton of pounding, especially when it's flared up and feeling uncomfortable. Perez wants my opinion on what a good exercise for an ankle sprain like 3 years ago and now have very bad ankle mobility for volleyball. So number one is going to be, Perez, determine what the problem with the ankle and the range of motion is. So you're going to do a wall test first. So what you want to do is you want to put your toes about 4 inches away from the wall. And what you want to do is flat foot, and you're going to drop your knee over your big toe. And you want to see how close to the wall you can get it without your heel picking up and without your foot changing position on the ground. Like if it starts to spin out, and you're going to pay attention to where the feedback from the ankle comes from. Does it feel like it's tight in the back of the ankle, or does it feel like it's blocked in the front of the ankle? If it's blocked and it's a bony blockage or some sort of built up scar tissue, then you can work through things like manual manipulation. You can grind that out with your thumbs. It's going to take a while to break up those adhesions and things that form over time, especially when you come off ankle injuries. Trust me, my left ankle is in a very similar state, definitely has a reduced amount of range of motion. So I've had a lot of manipulation work done by different therapists where they're just kind of moving it through ranges of motion, applying distraction to the joint, which means that you're trying to separate kind of the attachment site at the bottom of the tibia and fibula away from that talus of the ankle. You're trying to provide some gapping to be able to work through ranges, and then just cycle fresh oxygenated blood through that area. That's where I would start. A lot of questions coming in. I appreciate this. Just bear with me because I tend to talk a lot. I like to give a good answer. I like to make sure everybody's taken care of. So I'll do my best to get through all of this. Can I jump higher if I maximize the speed through my approach? Daniel wants to know this question. Now, yes, absolutely. If you maximize your speed, then absolutely. Now, if you just start running faster, the likelihood is that you won't be able to control the transition of horizontal velocity to vertical lift. Okay, we're trying to find that balance. We call that our maximum controlled velocity. If we can find that balance, then we absolutely milk our body for everything it's worth. So the way I do that is with the athletes is I really just start with trying to find what is too much speed. So I say, just go for it, go ham, go through your approach. Let's find if you can control that speed. If not, we're kind of backpedaling. We're unraveling the athlete stride by stride. And we're going to say, okay, let's start just through that pushing stride, that second last stride called our penultimate stride. Let's start there. Let's push. And then we punch our block foot. We just start working on tying one more stride in at a time. This is a process. This isn't going to be like one session and you figure it out. This is something that jumpers work on for their whole life, is really finding that speed. And then secondarily is going to, or primarily is going to be making sure that you're strong and stable. The more strong and stable you are through a lot of those joints, a lot of those muscles that surround the joints, the more speed you can accept and transition. All right, I'm coming down the list. Blah, blah, blah. Any plyo/jump training periodizations that I prefer. So our programs are built primarily on the basis of complex training, where we cycle through a variety of different pairings of exercises where you work through to complement and create and elicit a stimulus from the preceding exercise. So it's like I do one exercise to get some sort of stimulus from the body, and then I follow that with something else, and then I follow that with something else. Typically, our third movements are some type of active recovery, usually some sort of range of motion or flexibility drill that's worked in there. But in terms of like pairing up jumps and plyos or weights, is We really like the idea of contrast training. We use that a lot. And periodizing that, it's really going to depend on your goals. So we have our programs are anywhere from, 3-phase, 3-month, all the way down to 2-phase, 8-week programs, building through GPP and then into a little bit more power-oriented work. So there are so many compositions of training that it's very difficult to pick what one we like the most. It really just, we do a lot of specific work with athletes on the side as well, away from our individual programs. And in that case, it really is whatever that athlete requires the most. What are some, what is your opinion on Jump Everyday program, AKA Jordan Kilgannon article? So Jordan Kilgannon and I are friends. We were talking like 3 days ago. And Jordan is a guy who, in his early stages, jumped every day. Jordan now does not jump every day. Jordan now trains like a professional athlete. And he started, when he started skyrocketing and you started seeing him get better and better to the point where millions and millions of views later, is when he started to really, really prioritize his training as a professional athlete. Weight training, volume control with jumping and things of that nature. So my opinion is don't. Now, if you do jump every day, you will jump higher. But the problem is that that's not something that you can sustain for a long period of time. You will become injured. It's just a matter of time. If you're not working strength training as well, and you're jumping every day, you're putting far too much stress on the anatomy, putting far too much stress on the physiology, our nervous system, to be able to withstand that for any length of time. I'm coming down here. Some of the best mental cues to have while jumping. I think too much, don't jump as high. Yeah, so it's important that when you practice technique, you are mindful of the positions and the behaviors. But when you're going to jump and you're competing, it's cleared out of your head, meaning that you're trying to develop what we call jump intuition, where it's like, this is just ingrained into who I am. That's built into a jumper over time. So I was a former professional dunker as well, former Team Canada track and field athlete, and jumping became a part of me, and it still is, meaning that the rhythms and the ebbs and flows of the way I move sync up with jumping because I was obsessed with it. I took every opportunity I could, and jumping became very connected to me. So you definitely don't want to be overthinking the scenario while you're jumping, but be mindful of your efforts. Taking video is good. You can go back and take a look at some of the mistakes you're making or some of the things you did well. But some of the mental cues are going to be, I do a lot of breath work with athletes, meaning that before you're going to do a big jump effort is taking 3 deep breaths, and that's in through the nose, inflate the diaphragm. So we're trying to breathe into the belly. And as you exhale, you want to try to feel your shoulders fall. So we want to try to feel the shoulders relax, because a lot of times what happens is jumping and competition in general amplifies our anxiety, right? Our anxiety levels go up. When the anxiety levels go up, our muscles don't fire the same way. We get tight. We start to underutilize a lot of the ranges of motion that we have. So by breathing, we bring our nervous system down into a bit more of a rested state, and our movements start to synchronize better, and we can elicit more power. On that third breath out, really feel the shoulders fall, and then you're going to ride the breath. Jumpers will know the feeling when all of a sudden you take a breath, and then you know, like, I got to jump right now, and you got to trust your instincts and follow that. Let that pull you through your jump. Coming up, is heel pain common for jumpers? It can be. If it's like the bottom of your heel, it's likely the case that you are striking with your heel too predominantly. That can be an issue for the bursa of the heel, which is that kind of fluid sac down there. You want to make sure that you are staying relatively to the ball of your foot as you move forward. Now, when you transition through that big pushing stride of your penultimate, your heel will make contact, but it's right. You move through the heel very quickly. If you're like slamming heel first, that's not what we want to see. We want to transition through the foot onto the ball of the foot and that inside edge of the big toe, and then we maximize that elastic function of the arch of the foot. Take some rest if your heel hurts. Whenever I jump without a target, I jump my highest, but when I try to dunk or even just touch the rim, I jump a lot lower. Why is that? I'll tell you, there's a couple reasons why that might be the case. This is from Not Josh. Okay, so Not Josh. When you're jumping to a target, a lot of times what happens is it pulls our eyes and our head back. When our eyes and our head go back, you can see that big hinge in my neck. right where the neck bends there is between two bones of our spine called our C4 and our C5 vertebrae. Now, there is a nerve bundle that runs through there that supplies nerve endings to our shoulders. So we use the garden hose analogy. If you take a garden hose and I'm watering my plants, and then your friend comes by and he kinks the water hose, what happens to the stream of water, right? It weakens or it stops. So if I take a nerve root that's supplying water or power to my shoulders and I kink that, what happens to my shoulders? Do you think they have as much power? No, they don't. So we want to keep a decently neutral head and use our eyes to the target. That's step one. Don't crank your head back. Number two is when we jump to the target, we tend to jump to the target, and our center of mass ends up too far forward. So we want to remember that when we're moving through our approach, we're keeping the chest upright and back over top of our hips. If the chest ends up too far forward, when you take off, you jump at a very low angle of takeoff. Jumping is all about managing the relationship of your center of mass to the points of contact of your feet. What is this live about? This live is about question and answer. We're going through everything about jumping and training right now. Just RizQ. That's what we're up to. How can I train my approach timing as a volleyball player? Practice. You practice. And as a volleyball player, the thing that I coach a lot of volleyball players jumping and a jump approach. Now, jumping in general is one skill, and the attack is a separate skill, a second skill. So what we want to be doing is really recreating the approach the same way every time you attack. The difference is the timing at what you release your approach toward the actual ball. Okay, so we want to get in the habit of reacting to the set and not getting ahead of ourselves. That's the biggest mistake volleyball players make, is they release their approach too quick. Then they have to slow down their approach. They lose all that potential energy, and then you end up jumping straight up. The ball's behind you, and it's not able to be to finished or a kill. So practice. Did an Emma, I am fine, thank you. Not Josh says, some of the best jumpers I see in high school and NBA have the block foot 2 feet in front of their plant foot. Block foot is perpendicular from the plant foot. Is that optimal? Should I develop it? So that depends largely on the type of jumper you are. So Josh, the block foot, that breaking foot or the last contact, will be applied further away from your body the lower you are into your plant, which is that other contact, the one that they're kind of back on, right? Yeah, they're back on the 1 foot. They have the block way out, and it's kind of perpendicular, creating a break. But if you apply a block foot too far away with a taller posture, you'll roll right through your plant foot and you'll lose all that power. So the block will change distance away from the center of mass depending on how low you are. So if you look at a lot of those jumpers in the NBA or some of the best jumpers you see in high school, they're likely ones that are pretty low into that plant foot, and as a result their block goes further out. That being said, I was an elastic jumper, jumped 48 inches, and my block foot was a lot closer than 2 feet in front, probably more along the lines of like 1.5 feet. Yogesh says, I'm from India. Right on, India in the house. I'm from Canada. So we are linking up. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate that. I missed a couple questions here. It skipped through. It said, did Kilgannon really get a 40+ inch vert with just dunking every day? Yes. But again, you have to keep in mind that Jordan Kilgannon is an athletic outlier, meaning that he's an athlete that, yes, developed over time of putting in reps and reps and reps of jumping. But Jordan also eventually got hurt as a result of just jumping all the time. That's why he started lifting weights to be able to get stronger and more stable. And that's when his vert went from like 40 inches close to 50 inches. So jumping every day without weights is absolutely not advisable. Kilgannon has a 50-inch vert, I think. Kilgannon has a official measured vertical at dunk camp last year of 49 inches. I was there and took that measurement, but absolutely on some jumps is 50+ inches for sure. For sure. I can sometimes jump really high, but can't jump consistently. Any tips? Should I just jump more? Yeah, it's part of patterning your jump more frequently. Jumping high all the time is difficult. And what happens is I think a lot of athletes get really discouraged. They're like, I went and jumped on Monday. I jumped super high. I went back and I jumped on Tuesday and I was like 6 inches lower. That's totally normal. It's totally normal because your body to jump has a huge dependency on what's called our nervous system. It's all the nerve endings and the energy. jumping really drains the energy tank, okay? It's like on your computer, it's like the difference between having a lot of RAM and a little bit of RAM, if you know what that means. Meaning that RAM is kind of like that working memory that allows you to stream things quickly and switch between your apps quickly. But if you have a low amount of RAM, it's slow, it's laggy, it takes time. It's kind of how your body works too with your nervous system. So you have to recover that, which means that sometimes resting between jump sessions is important. As well as making sure that your nutrition is on point to be able to bring those levels back up and lower your stress levels. Coming through here. What should I do to get my vertical back up after a broken ankle? Number one is take a deep breath. I know that's super general, but I think what happens is we get super emotional about the fact that like we've been away for some time. We're like panicking that I lost all my gains. I'm not going to get back to where I was. But the bottom line is, as an athlete, you are almost 100% guaranteed to have some type of injury at some point. I broke both my ankles. I've really badly sprained my left ankle to the point where I fractured 3 bones in my foot. I've multiple breaks in my hand from dunking and breaking bones in my hand. So it's part of it. You just have to be patient and keep plugging away. Consistency is going to be king in that instance. Boop, boop. Okay. Emma says I should be subscribing to her channel. Appreciate that. Street art is awesome. Definitely not something that will be frequented by us here at PPA, but I wish you all the best. Okay, I'm coming down here. Do you have any tips for getting a taller body? Just time. There's not any tips to like make yourself grow taller. That's part of your DNA, part of your genetics, and you'll be as tall as you need to be. But I know a lot of short jumpers, so don't let that discourage you. Just put the work in. Have I heard of PGF Performance? Yeah, Paul and I talked 2 days ago. Paul Fabritz, and Paul is a phenomenal coach, really smart, great content, and very supportive of PGF and PGF Performance. We share a lot of the same views on training and jumping and jump technique. That was for Homer. All right. Top 1 bodyweight exercise for jumping higher. Top 1 bodyweight exercise for more explosiveness. Martin, I don't know if I can pick top. I'll tell you what I enjoy. Bodyweight exercises for jumping higher is going to be just jumping. It's going to be patterning with a controlled amount of volume, your jump technique, and just getting off the floor. For more explosiveness, some sort of plyometry. I imagine you're asking about. You could probably get into something like a reactive pogo hop just for patterning the time or the ground contact time, being quick off the ground. But there are way too many things to consider. Does what jump program you use matter? Example, Vert Code Elite, or is it how you use it? So largely, like most jump programs that are out there, most will benefit you and have some type of result. It's entirely about how you are invested in it as a person. Now, there are some jump programs out there that are very marketing forward, meaning that they're very big claims, right? Like double your vertical or 15 inches in 2 weeks. Those are absolute lies. If you're hearing or seeing people post stuff about that, that's to get you to buy it. That's to get your money. As a professional coach that does this all the time, I know firsthand that that's not a thing. You're not going to double your vertical in a month or in a week or whatever they claim, and you're not necessarily going to add 15 inches of vertical. Now, has it happened? Maybe. Some people get big gains because they have a really steep adaptation period where they're just like, they haven't done anything, and now they're doing something, and their body is starting to really take to it. So more about how you approach the workout and how much you commit to it, meaning that how invested are you in the process. A lot of people will do a jump program for a week, and if they don't see results, they stop doing it and they're like, it didn't work. That's not how the body works. I repeat, that's not how the body works. The body needs time to create change and adaptation. And just because you don't see your vertical going up does not mean you're not becoming a better athlete, or it does not mean that you won't jump higher. It means that sometimes you have to fill other meters in your body before the jump meter goes up. So if you're lacking in areas like stability, strength, mobility, those areas, and you just start doing plyometrics, it's not necessarily going to equate to a higher vertical. Sometimes you have to build stability for your body to be able to express the power. Okay. It's like building a house on toothpicks. It's going to crush. You're going to fall. It's going to crumble. But if you build a strong foundation and then layer on the specifics, right? The bedrooms and the bathrooms and the foundation will hold and support that. I hope that makes sense. I'm down here. I'm down here. By top one, I mean the best. I know you do, Martin, but there's no best. Everything will work. Everything has a place and everything is a tool. If someone tells you this is the best thing for vertical jumping, again, it's a lie. It's just to get you to watch. You can't. And if they say, no, it is the best, the likelihood is, number one, they are a brand new coach, or they're an athlete that is, again, just looking for that clout and that popularity. And that's not saying that it might not work for you. It's just that you can't say with confidence that anything is the best, because every body and every person's unique makeup is unique. It's different. So the best isn't going to be the same for everybody. We at Project Pure Athlete are 100% about telling you the truth, meaning that we're not going to sit here and lie to you to get your money. We're going to tell you exactly what we do. We're going to tell you what has worked for us, what hasn't worked for us. We're going to tell you that it's about investing in the process and being patient. It takes time. Anything is worth investing yourself and being patient through that process. Okay. If it was easy and quick, meaning that do this program and gain 8 inches and fight, like everybody would have super high verticals. Okay. So that's why it's important to know that vertical jump journey is not, a week or 2 months or 3 months, although the programs are built to get you moving. That's not when it's over. That's just the beginning. Best reps and set ranges for squat and deadlift. There are so many rep and set variations to use depending on what your goals are. And then if you just say jump higher, then again, depending on what phase of training you're in, the reps and sets will vary. So if you're looking to develop general robustness and create a little bit more density, then higher reps to get muscle hypertrophy. If you're looking for just sheer strength, you're going to be somewhere in that 5 to 8 rep range. If power's your goal, somewhere in the 2 to 6 rep range. And then the loading of the weights change as well. So there's a lot of variables to consider. And I'm here not to sit down and break down and give you every single thing you should be doing, because I think as an athlete, you also have to make investments in yourself at times. And if we just came on and give you absolutely everything for free, then I'd have to live in a tent. And I love camping, but my son, I imagine, wouldn't love living in a tent. So we have to sell our services. So I give you a lot of content on here for free. I give you a lot of advice. I'm here to be a beacon of light for you if you're lost. But to give people best of this or to only do this is irresponsible, to say the least. Martin, you're very welcome. I'm glad that helped you. Highest jumper ever. There are a lot of people that jump very high. We don't know the highest jumper ever. I think there are some educated guesses that could be made about a handful of people that jump exceptionally high. I think the highest full approach vertical is probably still yet to be tested. It's probably somewhere in the 55, 56 inch range. Perfect conditions. I don't know who that is. There's a lot of people I know that could give that a run for its money. And standing vertical wise, I think we're somewhere in that 40, 45 to 50 inch range. Some football players have played around with that upper 40s, just powerful people. But the mass majority of us are not those people, meaning that we shouldn't be trying to emulate our training off of the top 0.5%, because they also have aspects of them as humans that not all of us have. So we need to train a little bit differently to be able to find our potential, our true potential. Now, do I believe everybody could jump 50 inches? No. Do I believe everybody has the potential to jump 40 inches? Yes, I would say that's pretty reasonable. But it takes more than just a good jump program. It takes more than just the best exercise. It takes a 360 approach to being an athlete to be able to get that much result out of your body. When I was competing through my formative years as a track athlete and a pro dunker, I was obsessed. I made almost all the good decisions, meaning that my friends went out to drink. I didn't go out to drink. I brought most of my own food everywhere I went. I had a very regimented nutrition plan. Recovery, I did all the time. I trained all the time. I surrounded myself with people that did the same things as me. And I maxed out at 48 inches, but I was also a good athlete. Now, there are, I imagine, some genetic factors that were in play to help me along that process. I was a pretty good natural jumper prior to putting in a lot of training, but I was also a very competitive athlete my whole life. So it's really coming down to how badly do you want it? The people you see and emulate, the people that are like your idols, right? Your Jordan Kilgannons, your Isaiah Rivera's, your Connor Barth, all these guys that are super high jumpers, track athletes, volleyball players, all these guys and girls, they have something in common, and that's that they're obsessed with the process of becoming better. And you have to ask yourself that question. Are you willing to make the sacrifices necessary to be that good? Or are you just wishing you were better? Okay. If it's technique, is it technique's fault when you rotate your plant foot after going on the ball of the foot? I think that Stephen Selly does that. It's part of your technique, but that's not like a bad fault. So the plant applying and then rotating as you transition into your block is perfectly normal and natural. So I wouldn't be too concerned with that. If I have a 30-inch vertical untrained, how much do you think I can gain from being consistent and doing the vert code the whole year and round program? So not Josh. I don't know. I've never seen the vert code program. That's Paul's. That's Paul's program. I'm sure it's intuitively programmed. I don't know. We can only attest to our programs. We know that if someone commits to PPA and our training, that they will become a better athlete. We don't guarantee someone, X amount of inches. We don't guarantee them anything. We guarantee them that if they put in the work and they're consistent, they'll get better. Do you know who Dylan Freed is? I actually don't. Let me know who Dylan Freed is. It's familiar, but it's not ringing a bell off the top. How do you know when you have to stop bulking, gaining muscle so it doesn't impact your vertical jump? I think that it really at that point comes down to like functionality. So there are some indicators, there are some things that you can use to figure out where your general strength numbers are. That being said, that's not necessarily how we function with our training. We use a much more feel-oriented training process, meaning that we're going to give people like chunks of strength work, transition them into power, into speed, into nervous system work, and we'll kind of keep cycling back to strength. The goal really isn't to like work strength to a point that you're like perfectly strong and then move into power. It's like give yourself the stimulus that you require to be stronger and then transition in and change up the stimulus to your body. My website has a lot of programs. Can you explain the difference? Yeah. So the singular programs. So we have 2 bodyweight programs. We have Home Classic, which is entirely bodyweight. We have Home Elite, which is bodyweight and resistance band, and it's a little more challenging, also 2 weeks longer. We have Project Vertical 9-week, which is like an in-season jump program with weight training and plyometrics and all that stuff built in. So that's more for like lower volume. We have Project Vertical Elite, which is more of an off-season program, a little bit more volume, a little bit more weight work. We have the Jump Guide, Jump Technique program. It's like an educational program that helps to supplement your training with jump technique work. It's kind of our more famous program, the things that have become really popular in the performance industry. All those technique terms were really pushed by Project Pure Athlete over the last 5 years. What else is on there? Combine Edition is how to maximize your testing. So if you have to go test in a volleyball or basketball setting or football, how to get the most out of your body. What else is on there? I think that's pretty. And then there's bundles, which is definitely the best bang for your buck. So we have the Home Bundle, which is Home Classic, Home Elite, and Jump Guide for $29. And then we have the Ultimate Bundle, which is all the programs for $87. So lots and lots of things to choose from. But if you click on them and go in, the explanation below kind of tells you what they're for. I've heard tendon training should be between 5 to 10 minutes. Say I want to do a session with the Achilles and patellar tendon. Should I squeeze both into 5 to 10 minutes, or is it 5 to 10 minutes for each tendon? So I think that's really something that is athlete dependent. Meaning that if your body is very robust, if you have a lot of training under your belt, you can have, think about it this way. If you're loading the Achilles tendon and then going to load the patellar tendon, well, loading the Achilles tendon also stresses the patellar tendon because it's a kinetic chain. So you want to pick kind of the areas of that session you want to prioritize and work through a handful of sets. You want to keep things controlled, and you also want to make sure that you're taking appropriate rest between so that you don't overstress the tendons. Once I dunk, I'm going to notify you. I hope you make it too, Martin. Good luck, man. Your journey is something that you'll remember forever. So put everything you have into it and remember to have fun. I have a 40-inch vertical and I gained it without gym, only using dumbbells. Can I gain more? I need to earn money for a gym ticket. So having a dumbbell is resistance, right? You don't need machines, but like if you have resistance, you can adapt and make variations of movements all over the place. So what I would do is, if you haven't tried to do a very structured program, I play around with a structured program so that you have a little bit more of like a tapered approach to your training. I have a 40-inch vertical, and I already read that one. You are educated in the field of jumping. What is your opinion? Highest humanly possible jump. You know what? That's a great question, and I'm asked that quite often. I think that the genetic potential of humans will continue to adjust as the years roll over. I mean, think about how far we've come in performance training over the last 50 years, right? Imagine another 50. I think we're probably in that. It's still going to be in that 55 to 60 inch range. I think maybe 60 is like, if someone hits it, I'll be a believer when I see it as well, but I know what it takes. It takes a perfect storm. It takes a perfectly, titrated mixture of ingredients to make sure that that all happens. So who knows? It's high. Humans are awesome, and the human body is amazing. What are my top 5 or 3 favorite dunkers? Like all time. This is from Haxason, wants to know my top 5 dunkers. Let me know if that means like active right now or like all-time favorite, because those lists will be different. How high do you think a football player with a 47-inch standing vert could get with an approach? Khalil, that's a great question. I think it's not as high as a lot of people think. So someone that has an exceptionally high standing vertical jump requires a great deal of ground contact time to produce that power. Meaning that when you add in an approach, which is really adding speed to the equation, right? Additional kinetic potential, they still require ground contact in order to produce the power they need. So they're not going to necessarily be able to transition a ton of speed, or it means that they're not going to be able to have a very fast approach. So I would, with optimized technique, a 47-inch standing vertical has the potential to be over 50 inches for sure. Dylan Freed is the creator and owner of Boeing Vert. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I know of Boeing Vert, but Boeing Vert is definitely one of the programs that are very exclamatory with their claims, and we definitely don't support that type of marketing strategy, to be perfectly honest. So, I don't wish them any ill will. We just don't associate ourselves with that because we're in a different space. We are professional coaches all the time. We work, pretty closely with a lot of professional leagues, and we are. That's enough said. No comment. A lot of questions coming in. Okay, let's get to, top 5. There's a lot of questions here, and I want to be able to go, but I've already been on here for 45 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to stay on much longer. So if you have a question that I did not get to, this live session will be posted under our live playlist. You can post your questions in the comments. And what I'll do is I will grab some of those questions for the next live, and we'll dive into those as well. All right, top 5 favorite active dunkers. All right, I don't even know if I could rank them, but I'd be looking at definitely, so Jordan Kilgannon is in there. He's crazy innovative and a friend of mine, so he's got to go in there. Connor Barth has to go in there. as being definitely one of the most potential like saturated dunkers right now. He's a freak of nature and a really funny guy and a really great dunker. Tyler Curry is one of my favorite dunkers for sure. Very pretty jump and very cool, stylistic, and explosive. Jay Clark, the jumper, John Clark. I'm a huge fan of John as a person. John's also part of our Team PPA sponsored athlete. So John is part of Team PPA. And he's got a deep, deep, deep bag of dunks. Active dunkers. Let me just think here. There's a lot, though. There's a lot. Shit, it's so hard to make 5. Like, Remix is still in there, and he's like 37. He's phenomenal. Who else is in there that's amazing? There are so many. That's a bunch. That's a bunch of my favorites. Okay. Cabea is kind of that needs that super slow approach. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good example, Khalil, of a person that probably has a very decent standing vertical and then converting it to a full approach goes higher, but it's not like this huge gap of difference where, like me, for example, 48-inch full approach vertical. My standing vertical was 35 inches, 35, 48. Speed was my friend. It was a very, very elastic, very reactive, and I transitioned my vertical very well from my approach. I'm going to take off. This was a great live session. I want to thank each and every one of you that took your time to be here with me today. If you have any more questions, you can post them in the comments to this live session. If you haven't already subscribed to Project Pure Athlete, I don't know why you haven't. Just hit the subscribe button, share our stuff, help us grow. We're inching close towards that 10,000 subscriber range. I don't know about you guys. I feel like our channel should have way more than 9.5 thousand followers, but I'm also just really getting consistent with uploading content. And we just want to teach and educate and help people grow. So thank you so much again. We'll catch you in the next. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.